All right, good evening, everyone. I'm Mayor Densmore. If you would stand as you're able to help me get the meeting started with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Mr. Lancer, would you do a roll call for quorum?
Yes, Mr. Betcher, Ms. Cheney,
Here.
Mr. Fisher, Mr. Knet. Here. Ms. Snyder.
Here.
Mr. Van Horn. Here.
For the record, I have heard via Mr. Van Harn that, well, actually from Mr. Fisher last time, that it being Holy Week with Passover, that he would not be here this evening. I'm presuming someone heard from Mr. Betcher because our administrator told me that he was going to be absent as well this evening. That being the case, I would ask for a motion to excuse Mr. Fisher and Mr. Betcher.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Very good, thank you. I'm presuming everyone has had an opportunity to look at the agenda. If there are any amendments to it, could you speak them now? And otherwise, do I have a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We do have one individual who's registered to speak this evening, Mr. Steve Simile from 2626 Canterbury Avenue, who I'd like to provide 3 minutes to. Thank you, sir.
Starting now.
Pretty sure I won't need 3 minutes. So, as the mayor stated, Steve Simile, 2626 Canterbury Avenue. Basically just wanted to bring everybody up to speed on the Cincinnati Soapbox Derby this year. I have volunteered to serve as liaison to Soapbox on behalf of the village. And at the moment, that is scheduled to take place the Sunday after Mother's Day, as has kind of become the tradition. So that is May 15th. So just as in years past, we will need to send out notifications to the residents regarding parking. And then we'll need to post no parking signs. Chief, do you want me to coordinate directly with you, or is there somebody else you would like me to coordinate?
I can help out.
Okay.
And if, based on availability, I can get, one of the officers to help out as well.
Okay. I think the only other thing besides closing the streets off for parking typically from 7 a.m. to 3:30 is then like blocking the street itself, getting the barricades up there to have the street blocked off. Any questions from me?
You need any equipment for this, like pop-up tents or anything like that?
Not that I'm aware of. Usually they bring their own. And I don't know at this point what, if anything, is being done as far as food. But again, that's usually self-contained as well. So
last year we offered, and I think Ashley did this through Go Golf Manor. You guys somebody brought Mark's Bagel Sandwich.
I called Mr. I don't know his last name, so sorry. YY.
Mr. Davis.
Mr. Davis. I'm happy to contact him again. I know that it was really fun. That was his first time with the food truck out there, and it was great. So.
yeah, I mean, that's basically, I think, just other than saying, here's where to set up, I don't know that that really impacts anybody else.
The only thing that we need to consider is there's now a thriving business there where the hair salon is. We used to use that parking lot for turning around and parking. Probably need to reach out to Miss McPherson to make sure that she's aware of what's happening. I'm sure she'll participate.
Okay.
So
And they're not open like every day, it seems like.
they're open on Saturdays.
They are? Okay.
All right,
Oh, wait,
no,
on
I'm sorry, it's a
Sundays.
Sunday. They're probably not open.
So if somebody can provide me with contact information to her, I'm happy to reach out to her and confirm her hours and then bring her up to speed on what's happening there.
I'm sure Mr. Herrick will email you.
Okay.
Quick note, if you guys want to do hot dogs again this year, I bought a hot dog machine, the roller thing.
I don't think that there's, I mean, since there's no longer a recreation commission, there's nobody to actually do
Okay, yeah,
hot
I'm not sure
dogs.
how that would go.
So I think that's why it made sense for the food truck where Mark's Bagels just kind
And they
of
sold out.
did their thing.
It was really nice having that four-way stop barrel there too.
Yes, that's true. Even though everybody ran it,
Right.
but
It was nice, especially for the people walking from Pleasant Ridge.
So with the transition in the service department, we probably want to make sure that we have a meeting to talk about the barrel and those kinds of things. This will be after Mr. Lanzer leaves. So I'll talk about what we're doing there in a few minutes. So
Has there formally been a collaboration with the village in terms of information sharing about, for instance, 75th anniversary and things at that kind of event? Or is that something we haven't really done in the past?
all I'm doing is passing information along from Cincinnati Soapbox to the village. Hey, is this date okay? Yes, so just, that's it.
So it's more of a question to council as well.
could you state this question again?
Have we in the past had a level of collaboration with the Soapbox Derby organization for communication sharing about what it is that we're doing in the village, so the folks that are there get information from us about like our 75th anniversary? It may be an opportunity, or may have been an opportunity in the past for us to communicate with individuals that we normally miss.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. No, I was gonna say, as former Recreation Commission, I was just gonna say that in the past, it's pretty much been limited to posting signs at Soapbox Derby. We used to put out tables and everything. We'd put out signs like conveying any upcoming events or things pertaining to the village. But I mean, like I said, that was just kind of as our role as recreation, we did that.
It'll be on our website. The other thing is, what about neighborhood children participating? They go to the Soapbox Derby site to sign up if they wish to do that.
Yes.
Okay.
And I will,
We'll make
Find
that part
that.
of our posting.
okay. Then one last question, and this mostly is for you. In the past, you've reached out to Bignell regarding use of their parking lot. Is that something that either you can help me with or provide me with a contact
We
person?
can help you with it.
Awesome, thank you so much. All right, that's all I got.
Steve, I think that should be asked of Tiffany too, of the hair salon,
Well, if,
permission for parking lot.
I figure we would ascertain that after we know what her business situation is. I figured our role is probably gonna be more like deterring people from using her parking lot, especially if she is open and,
Oh, certainly, if she's open.
but if she's closed, then
If she's not,
yes,
should ask
we
permission
would
to use
definitely,
it.
we definitely would. I'm assuming that,
Just tag, just a thought.
yeah, all right.
Thank you, Mr. Simile, for your service as liaison to the Soap Derby.
Absolutely.
And let's see, we have minutes to be approved from the council meeting on March 28th. Do we have any amendments to those minutes? And if not, do we have a motion for their acceptance?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. All right, so I got several stuff in my mayor's report here. And first off, our esteemed village administrator, Mr. Ron Perth's employment anniversary was earlier this month. Ron has been our chief administrator for 4 years now. Those of you who know him know that he puts his whole self into his job, gives 100%. He lives and breathes Golf Manor, and it shows. He strives for excellence and often achieves it. I know his fellow employees have already recognized his anniversary with a congratulatory card, but I feel we should also do so here as we have all experienced his exceptional service to our great village. So on behalf of the Village Council of 2022, thank you for your service, sir.
You're welcome.
Yes.
It's a pleasure.
One of the excellent things that Mr. Hirth has done for our village was to bring us Mr. Andy Lanzer as Assistant Village Administrator / Fiscal Officer. I know that if council has read their email, they already know this, but Mr. Lanzer has accepted a position with the Hamilton County Prosecutor's Office, Public Defender's Office, excuse me, the good guys. Which which is an excellent fit for him and his family right now. As much as we certainly love you, Mr. Lanzer, we hate that you're leaving. Mr. Lanzer will be with us through the end of the month and hopes to be a help in training the replacement if we are able to get one quickly. I'm aware of 2 people interested. One has approached me directly after they approached the administration. I understand they followed up with Vice Mayor as well. But whoever we get, we're still going to feel the loss because we love you. And thank you for all you've done for the village over the years, and thank you for your commitment to making the transition as smooth as possible. Follow up on the issue of nails and speed on Langdon Farm Road and the response I received from Cincinnati Mayor Aftab Pureville that I previously reported on. Cheryl Long, the Assistant City Manager, has followed up stating that the administration will pull all the permits in the area, and inspectors will visit each site to deliver the message of controlling the supplies, trash, and debris leaving those construction sites. She also said that the Cincinnati Police Department will begin speed enforcement in that area. I presume all of this has been occurring over the past week, so if residents have more recent feedback on the situation, please contact me. I want to acknowledge and thank the city administration and mayor for their prompt and sustained follow-up with me. I attended a webinar with Vice Mayor Cheney last week on collecting resident feedback and making community-informed decisions. Apology to, to Ms. Cheney, as we both discovered it was a fake training. It was more like a half-hour commercial for their company's website
Sales.
services. Yeah. I wouldn't recommend purchasing anything from them. But, excuse me. But do acknowledge the truth of the research showing that more interactive a website is, the easier it is to provide feedback, and more visitors and feedback you will receive. And there were some goals and tactics highlighted that we could be pursuing with our website for more engagement with the community. And I'll be following up with Ms. Cheney and Ms. Snyder about that. All right. I got to accompany Chief Campbell on a DEA warrant being served on Hamel Avenue last week. I was able to witness the staging meeting where the safety plan was discussed. That is like what they would do if anyone got shot, what the order of events would be, how our Golf Manor assets would be used, how our cruisers would be used to block off the streets surrounding the address, how our K9 unit would be used to sweep the address once the agents had secured it. I got to see the tactical force, at least half a dozen of them, all in their gear, their helmets, their shields, their machine guns. Then Chief Campbell drove me to the site, and he kept the mayor at a safe distance while the warrant was served and all the tactical officers entered the residence. And then when the all clear was given, I got to go up real close and see Lieutenant Forrest and Chief, our K9 unit, enter and start their sweep. Not many people get to see the planning process that goes into these actions, let alone be so close. So thank you to our Gulf Manor Police Department, the DEA, for facilitating my safe observation of the warrant being served. Town hall meeting on the transfer of fire services was held the week before last. The main part of the presentation was conducted by Assistant Administrator Lanzer with Administrator Hirth and Solicitor Donnellan handling the questions raised. They all did a great job. Unfortunately, the live stream of the event did not occur. I know of at least 2 residents who reached out directly about that. I brought it to the attention of the administration during the presentation, but understandably was told that there was nothing we could do about it at that point. Unfortunately, we also don't know how many people tried to view the live stream. What I'm hoping we can do is, and I've discuss this with the administration, have some kind of the slide presentation is available online. We're hoping, or I'm hoping, that we're able to get a video voiceover of the script that Andy presented to post on the website as well. And still be able to have people that are viewing that able to ask questions to the email address that we have. Our firehouse reunion was the week before last as well. Firefighters and former firefighters, fire chiefs and former chiefs, myself and former mayors, Falk, Zafiro, and Hirth were all there, as well as Councilman Betcher and Vice Mayor Cheney. Was there any other council members? Danny, that's why I was looking at you. I thought you were there too, but I was trying to. And our current fire chief, Danny Meter of Deer Park Silverton, was also there, which was pretty awesome. Former volunteer firefighter and Councilman Lou Marks asked me to attend the door to make sure people parking knew which door to come in. So I spent the beginning of the evening as doorman, but still got to see Lou Marks present a history of the fire department and introduce past fire chiefs. There was lots of food and drink. We had over 85 people in attendance, the majority of which stayed well into the evening. It was a great night. I was fortunate to be able to make a lot of new connections, talk to a lot of people, and learn a lot about the history of the fire department. I want to thank Lou Marks for his role in putting it all together, as well as the administration for their role, and all the council persons, past and present, in attendance. I think it was hugely successful, both in showing our respect and thanks for the years of service of our firefighters, but also such a fantastic opportunity for folks to see and talk with one another who hadn't had the opportunity to do so in many years.
And former Chief Putoff.
Former Chief Putoff.
He played a huge role.
Very good, yes. And it is bad of me to have left that out because though he wasn't able to be there in person, he did play a big role in putting it all together. And that was acknowledged at the event. While at the reunion, I was able to debut some Golf Manor spirit wear and received a lot of positive feedback about it. I developed Golf Manor baseball, soccer, and football jerseys that can be personalized with your name on the back and whatever number you want. Here's the baseball one.
Ooh.
There's the soccer one.
Nice.
Yeah. Having trouble with the football one. It hasn't arrived yet. But the, let's see, it had occurred to me to use them as a team building exercise, that is to make ones for all the staff and council members who wanted one to wear at community events if you want to show off your team spirit, like at the 75th celebration. But so many people were interested that I'm thinking now we can make them for whichever residents or former residents want to buy one. I got multiple people coming up to me saying, whatever those cost, I want one. I got tons of people saying that. So let me know your feedback on it. I will say this, that we can get a different vendor than the one that I'm using. I think that we definitely should, because I'm using a very expensive one. It's great quality and everything, but we'll definitely get better prices if we're ordering them in bulk. You know, we're taking orders and then ordering them in bulk, because we're not paying as much shipping than as we would ordering individual ones. So yeah, let me know your feedback on that. I had a meeting with Christy Iwasco, who is the senior health educator for the Hamilton County Public Health We Thrive Initiative, and Emily Windsor of the Waste Management Division, discussing lead remediation resources available. We have 20 addresses in the village that are on record of having lead water pipes on the private side of their infrastructure. In the past, there have been public funds available to help residents partially pay to replace those pipes. The administration and I, over the past 5 or 6 years, have been working on how to financially help residents pay the total cost of removing their lead pipes. As has been reported before, in collaboration with federal, state, and county resources and resources from Greater Cincinnati Water Works, the village has set aside enough money to make Golf Manor a lead pipe free. The administration has a plan to start rolling this out in alignment with our road improvement projects, which is great. Concerning lead paint in the village, there's still a lot of work to be done, and in several ways more difficult to address. The interior of older homes like those in our housing stock usually had lead-based paint applied inside the home at some point over the years. Now, given that it's an older home, there's typically 7 or 8 coats of paint over top of that. But when the existing paint starts to peel, earlier coats of paint that are lead-based are exposed, and that lead then adheres to dust, then gets breathed in, that damages the nervous system to a greater and greater extent based on the amount of exposure. Progressive lead poisoning is particularly prevalent when residents don't have the financial resources to address peeling paint. That's why we see the poisoning happening in lower income neighborhoods most. But it can happen in any older home, and there are resources to address it, particularly if you have kids in the home and your household is mid to low income. I have a chart that breaks down this by income and family size that I'll have posted in my report. Importantly, these resources are available to landlords based on the income level of their tenants. So if you know someone in Gulf Manor or anywhere in Hamilton County who is a landlord to tenants who have kids, let them know that they can likely get windows replaced and new paint jobs completed at no cost to them by way of this lead remediation program. It can be a win-win for everyone involved. We have flyers in both paper and digital form that provide more information, and I can get those to you to help spread the word in the village. The administration and I are discussing additional creative ways of getting the information to new residents and people seeking building permits in the village, and I'll keep you posted on our progress with that. And finally, Transgender Visibility Day was March 31st. Within our society, transgender persons are targets of violence more than anyone else in the LGBTQ community. The homicide rate is higher for transgender persons. They are murdered more. Why is that? Some will suggest transgender people are murdered because they are engaged in unnatural acts. I think it's an unnatural act to drink milk from a cow's tit, but it doesn't inspire hatred towards the existence of you guys who do. So there's something else going on, and the social scientists who study this say it's our own fear that drives such destruction. With that in mind, Transgender Visibility Day can additionally be viewed by advocates as a day to examine our own biases and prejudices and reflect upon how these may get in the way of our nation's ideals of equity and liberty and justice under the law, and what remedies we can personally be involved in as good citizens of our republic. In reflecting upon this myself, I'm aware of the differences in the way I treat transgender males and females. For instance, I'm completely comfortable with transgender males, even if they are complete strangers. It doesn't matter whether I find their presentation attractive or not. I wouldn't hesitate to invite one of these guys to my home to watch a sci-fi movie with me and my buddies if he showed even the slightest bit of interest. I recognize that I'm not as inviting with transgender females. There's a member of my church who's a transgender female. I don't talk to her very much, and I feel awkward around her, even though she's a member of my church. When my wife and I got married, I had 7 friends who stood beside me as groomsmen, and one of those people has since transitioned as a transgender female, but I don't feel threatened by her at all. I know her. And that's what Transgender Visibility Day means to me. We can't decrease the fear that can so quickly escalate if and while we don't know one another. So to all those who have made the often very difficult decision to allow their true selves to be seen, thank you for your courage. I see it as a service to the eventual manifestation of our ideal republic, and that is my report. Mr. Hurth.
I'm going to yield to Chief Meter.
So just a couple things, Andy. First off, congratulations on your new job. It's been a pleasure the last couple of years to get to know you and work with you. So don't be a stranger. You know where we are. So firehouse doors open to you. Apologize, I don't have the exact numbers that I emailed to Mr. Hurth earlier this week. Actually, it was last Friday, I believe I emailed to you with the run breakdown of the totals for each community. There's 66 on this page. There might be 1 or 2 stragglers that didn't make this. As we discussed kind of early on, I would provide the council with a list of dates, times, and locations of incidents and what type of incident they were. There's no kind of personal health information here. The addresses are all public records since they become dispatchable. But just an indication of where we're going, what more types of runs we're responding to. I know that was something that the council was interested in. Can't make too much off of just 1 month of data, but as things start to build up, we'll be able to kind of analyze this and see, are we going to certain places more than others? There are certain times of days where our services is more needed than others. So we'll just continue to look at this as we go, and hopefully this will be something that your council can use to kind of plan for your future needs. You'll see at least the fire truck, if not his fire truck and the medic unit, out and about in the community here over the next month or so. This is the start of the spring hydrant checks. So we go through, we just make sure that the caps are secured, we lube up the threads as needed, just do a cursory inspection, make sure nothing is obviously broken. Some of the newer hydrants, I'm not so worried about if we do any kind of flowing. Some of the hydrants that are here are relatively old. I don't want to start opening hydrants up and having hydrants break, water mains break. So for this first go around, we're just going to inspect visually to see what's going on. And if there's relatively new, we might open one up just to kind of see what flow we get, test it out. But I don't intend on messing with the older ones because I don't want to come in here within our first few months and then we're going to break a water main or I no, that happens at a real fire scene. So I don't really, yeah.
Yes, I don't know if you're interested, if you have any use for them, but we've collected probably 30, you can't even back there, old hydrants. And they're sitting back there, and the idea that the previous fire department wanted to keep them for parts in case, during an inspection.
Right.
Would you guys be
No,
interested in that, or should we get rid of them?
No, I don't like your garden, no.
I would love to get rid of them if we could.
Yeah, we don't have any use for them. We don't have any experience with repairing hydrants ourselves. That's not a skill that we've ever learned. We don't take on that liability. So like, for example, Deer Park and Silverton, after Coney Township as well, they all now use Hamilton County Public Works to repair hydrants.
So do we, I don't
Yeah,
understand that.
Yeah, so basically what we do is we notify the correct jurisdiction, hey, there was a problem with this, it gets taken care of. We don't want any spare parts because we don't have the skills, the knowledge to do it. Now, I mean, I've got us doing a brake job on a fire truck. It's opening yourself up to a lot of problems you don't want. So, but I appreciate the offer. Actually, if you want it, I have an older fire hydrant at my house. It's probably from the early 30s. The intention is to use it as a water feature someday. You might find people in the community that might think it's neat to have in their home ponds or fountains. So if you're just going to scrap them, maybe a good way to kind of reach out to the community and say, hey, here's something you could do. So
You can use it for recycling credit for weight.
That's right, I mean,
there you go.
legitimately, that's true.
Well, I would put them out on the Hamilton County website to auction them, see if we can sell them that way.
I think we should make a
Raising them coming.
sculpture.
Do what?
We'll make a
I like
sculpture
that.
in the park.
Oh, sure.
Do we need a motion?
Chief, there are 3 streets that'll be getting new hydrants this year.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, well, so I'm 99% solid that I have every hydrant listed with the GPS coordinate. We work with Waterworks and some other previous records that were delivered to us. Once those come to us, the new ones we'll update them, make sure they're on our programs. We inspect them every year. So just kind of keep us apprised of if there's a road project like that coming, so we'll kind of at least know that it's going to be done. And then with the soapbox derby information, again, if you have community events like that, please keep us in the loop on that. Worst case scenario, I can send an engine down here with some firefighters on it. They can see what's going on. If they have to make a run, they can make a run from here just as easily as they can our station. So, again, if I want to be involved with Gulf Manor, not make a run, but involved in the community, that's really a great opportunity to at least start meeting the public and
Young people love it.
so, and we're love to see a fire truck. So, we will work with our crew to make that happen. Just make sure that we get the information on times, locations. It's not anything we've ever been involved with before, so, but we're happy to help out however we can. So,
Awesome.
Steve, if Ron has my email, if you just want to keep me in the loop, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you.
They have extra soapbox cars. Maybe we could have a police versus fire department.
I'll get stuck.
It's probably a little small for me, I think. So. But with that, that's all I have to report this evening. I know we discussed briefly about what would be a good meeting to come to every month. I'm happy to come down to the first council meeting of the month, which is every second Monday, which works out well because I have another meeting the previous Monday, so I'm kind of already now thinking meeting mode. If I can't make it, I'll have one of the assistant chief would come down, or maybe one of the shift captains, to at least keep you guys up to date as what's going on. So if that's cool, the rest of the council, I'd like to just have a standing portion of your agenda on the second.
Appreciate
Monday.
that.
That's
Thank
great.
you.
And I can be more, I can be nicer about moving your report to the beginning, so that you don't have
It's
to rely on the kindness of Mr. Hirth to sit through my.
Yeah.
There's no love. Although you might want to stick around.
You're a direct employee, yeah, I'm kind of a secondary. So with that, are there any questions for me? If I can't answer now, I can always take it back and get back to you if there's any questions. Has anybody heard any concerns from the fire service perspective?
I like this report a whole lot.
Yeah.
I see 3 cardiac arrests on here. How do I say this? Do you find it was a problem that you couldn't get here fast enough, or?
I would have to go back and look at the times.
Okay.
I know for sure at least one of those, CPR wasn't even initiated
Okay,
by the people that had found the
Sure.
patient, so.
obviously they're getting there fast enough.
Right, it's, at this point, it looks like it's, we're getting out here in a timely fashion. I
Mhm.
haven't heard from, especially law enforcement, we tend to see them most on these runs anyway. I haven't heard anything from the chief about, hey, it's gonna take you a long time. Seems like the crews are working to get out the door quickly, so, but we'll continue to monitor that as we go through, obviously. Because part of what we do every day is make sure we're getting out the door, whether it's for Golf Manor or for Silverton or Deer Park or whoever, that's what we're there for.
Yeah, is there anything, I guess, that we could do for you?
No, really, everything from our perspective, communication from council's been great. Mr. Hirth has been good about getting me information, and if we have any questions, we've gone back and forth. It's been good. Again, other than just kind of keeping us in the loop about events that, again, 'cause we're not going to be as familiar, at least the first year or two, of what you guys do for summertime stuff or fall stuff or whatever. We're happy to help out. So just keep us in the loop, and we will make every effort to get somebody down here to represent the district
It's really good.
and meet you guys. So
Thank you,
Is this
appreciate
run
it.
rate within your expectation or forecast?
in terms of the run, yeah, it's about what we anticipated.
I know it's gonna vary.
Yeah, it's going to vary. So just so 1 month, let me do a quick math here. So
It's a run rate about 792 for the year.
So,
I don't know
we have
what,
66 tons.
seems a little high. Is that 400 before?
The 792 is probably close. I've got some information I can share with you on how we calculated what we anticipated when we did. It's probably right about where we thought it was going to be. We figured somewhere between 750 and 800.
Okay.
It's kind of.
I thought we were doing, I
Last year
thought we were hitting,
different than
Miami,
that.
we were hitting about, 490, something like that.
No, it's definitely more than that.
We were 600 something.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was, especially the last year and a half, things have really started to kind of tick back up, especially now that the people are out and about. COVID's more or less run its course in terms of the lockdown. So
Okay.
even our department, we've seen now things creep back up. So it's kind of across the board, people are starting to use this more. So-
Yeah, I just, as we go forward, I just kind of want to keep track of what
Right,
what our
sure.
usage is of
Sure.
every department.
Sure.
And
And,
as we get 1 year in, 2 years in, 3
right,
years in.
right. And that's all information that I keep track of internally. We've been running these numbers for 23 years now.
Cool.
And we track by a month, how many runs we make in each community, how much mutual aid we get, how much mutual aid we give. So basically, all I was able to do, I just took your community and not plugged it in, so it'll just calculate every month. And I send that to my fire board, my staff. I've sent it to the village administrator down here, Ron Hirth. So again, I just kind of let him distribute it to you guys rather than try to email everybody individually. It's just easier if he can blast it out.
No, that's totally fine. In the fire reports and the run reports, is there a notation as to whether local police was there prior to response or?
We don't track that. Not anything that we ever have. I don't know if you guys track your response.
We're exploring the possibilities, so that's why I'm asking.
There's no place in our EMS or our fire reporting where I can document law enforcement was there. It's just not something that probably the creators of the programs thought was important. Again, we're looking at reporting to the state, federal level, and then keeping documentation if we have to pull and report for any reason. So I don't know how, there's no way for us to track that.
Asterisk.
Yeah, But if it's something that, the council's interested in, I'm sure we could come up with some kind of
Maybe in
plan
the future as we explore that.
to work on that.
We enter, calls for service when we go to squad runs. We have two separate systems. We'd have to just kind of.
Yeah, yes.
Sounds like another race.
Yeah.
But, you know,
But what you brought up the three cardiac arrest things, it would be interesting to know that if we provided, the first aid training that we've been talking about, kind of the first, a little bit of like EMT training, and you guys get there first and it was a cardiac thing and we know they responded a minute after, it kind of gives us a feel for how effective that.
I'll say
that initiative is.
anecdotally, quite often we're there first because we're already out and about.
That's what I've seen, yeah.
Report from Sean Cruz might have that information from the comm center.
Okay.
Because they send one to us for our runs and I'm sure they send.
Yeah, we get a report of what we're dispatched to,
Yeah.
but I don't know how, if those reports cross each other and turning in data out or not, I don't know.
We can mess with it.
So I have to ask the powers to be, because they know more about that computer system than I do, that's for sure.
Yeah, Chief Campbell, is that something you can follow up on? To
I
see?
can look into it.
Okay, appreciate it. And thank you, Chief Meter. Appreciate it. And for the, just to reiterate, because I get questions, I've received questions from folks asking about response time. It's too soon. We've only got like a month's worth of data.
Right.
And we're still working on that to get a good idea of what response times look like.
Exactly.
Thank you again, sir, for your service.
You're welcome.
Appreciate your reports.
Appreciate your guys' time, and if there's nothing else, I will head home for dinner.
Hey.
I'm gonna say a couple things here that you'll be interested in hearing.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Mr. Hirth.
Are you good?
Yes.
So event-wise, couple things are coming up. We're gonna do our 4th of July parade on Monday, July 4th. Sergeant Reed from our police department puts that together for us every year. We're going to be encouraging residents to march or Sharon's gonna lead people on her bicycle.
Oh, yeah, right.
So
That's worth
that'll be
saying.
an event that I'm sure DPS will be asked to attend. The other big event that we're planning is Celebration 75, which will be on Sunday, September 18th in Volunteer Park. There is a steering committee that is forming to plan that, which is being led by Lieutenant Forrest. And a lot of good things happening there that I don't think we're ready to talk about yet, but I think we're ready for the date at this point. So that's a Sunday.
Ron, is it the safety day you were talking about?
It's the same event, yeah. Except we're calling it Celebration 75.
It sounds better.
I like that.
Let's see, other
I'm
things.
sure
that are
Roger
going
likes
on
it
with
better.
that. And then, so the fire department is aware. We're doing final details on the concrete work on Vera. Asphalt plant should be opening up here shortly. The plan is to do the final course of asphalt sometime within the next 2 weeks. So there will be some road closures that take place because they're going to do the whole length and short Elbrook at the same time. Afterwards, speed humps will be installed on Elbrook and Vera. And there will also be light pole painting. Same as
Big going
pole
on.
barn raising, but light pole painting
doings.
and finishing the new crosswalk on Vera, and then we're extending the crosswalk on Los Angeles Avenue. It's gonna make a jog rather than go straight through, trying to keep people from zipping across the street. So we're looking into some new lighting and appliances to install there. The chief's helping with that, so that hopefully we'll have more to report on that soon.
Did you say the top coat has not been applied to Vera?
I'm sorry,
Did you say the top coat has not been applied to
it
Vera?
has not yet, no. In addition to that, the Canterbury Inglewood bid is gonna be bid with Elbrook. And we expect that to start sometime in June. And looks like we're gonna try and delay the work on Weehee until the mid to late fall. So it doesn't interfere with the celebration and also some other construction work that we're looking in doing in North Weehee. That's what I think you might want to know about, those items.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
and I'll keep you
Road
updated.
work especially, yeah. It's always a surprise when you turn a corner sometimes, so.
Well, and I understand Mike Forrest might rappel with the dog out of the helicopter or something, so. Maybe
I
we'll
wouldn't be
see.
surprised.
So those are those items. We still need Board of Tax Review members, and we've not had a need come up yet. However, as we get close to the end of tax filing season, which is next Monday, we may have a need to put something together quickly if anybody has any questions or repeal of their tax information. Just a reminder to everyone that brush pickup is now occurring for recycling every Monday in the month of April. So if residents set out their bags after working all weekend, the truck will come through and recycle that stuff. They can still put their stuff out for Tuesday trash pickup, but it doesn't get recycled. And then our guys are still doing brush pickup on the second and fourth Thursday of the month. We'll keep reminding people about that. We spoke about aggregation this evening. Rich Suris came, was online for us, discussing the dilemma that we have with natural gas prices rising exponentially every day. They're recommending to us to let the current aggregation for natural gas expire, so our residents won't participate in that during the summer months. However, hopefully we will be able to sign a new contract sometime within the next 30 to 60 days, which will kick in for the fall. I'll keep council apprised of that as additional information comes up. Legislatively, we're in a position now that we can react if the market does something that's appealing that we need to react to. Tonight, Mr. Donlin is going to have legislation for you to talk about our approach with ARPA funding. So I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to that point this evening. There's a method to our approach here. Just to let everybody know, the Duke Energy Pipeline project is completed in Gulf Manor. Construction is done and restoration is nearly complete. So we'll be seeing grass growing on the hills just past the trestle. Finally, things have happened and are going to happen within our staff. Everybody knows Andy's leaving, so I'll take my turn to say thank you to him. We've got 3 more good weeks to produce here for you. We have posted the position both internally and externally in various places to cast the widest net we can. I'm looking at filling this as a full-time fiscal officer position, which leaves the question of how we supervise the maintenance department. Haven't quite figured that one out yet. A lot of it depends on what the candidates look like coming in for the fiscal officer position and what that position might cost us. However, in the interim, I've asked former Chief Putoff, who's our code enforcement official, to step in and help with supervising the service crew during this transition. So until we decide what we're doing with that position, Jim will help with that piece of it to help them with their daily work schedules and that sort of stuff. So I have no qualms at all about us not missing a beat there. That's it. That's all I have. Anybody have any questions?
What's for dinner?
Chicken. I don't know what side we get. I saw peppers coming out, so maybe some roasted peppers on it.
That's kind of keep us in mind.
I'll keep you in mind. Well, sometimes we do a grill at my house. I
Thank
Thank you, Tom. Real quick, Fro, I'll send some information to you. My next board meeting for the fire district is next Tuesday at 4:30 PM at the fire station in the front training room. If anybody feels they'd like to stop by, or if any of your citizens would like to stop by, I'll send you a reminder tomorrow morning.
So we had talked about touring the station, so that offer is still out there. If anybody wants to go in a small group or as a big group or.
You said 4:30 next Tuesday?
4:30 next Tuesday.
Would that be
the 19th.
a time if some of us came over to do that, or is that not a good day?
No,
to do that?
that'd be fine, yeah. We'd be more than happy to show you around and
Does that-
start making some introductions, so. There's not too terribly much on the agenda, so it'll be
Okay.
a relatively short meeting.
Yeah, it's the 19th, so you have a committee meeting that day.
Yeah.
In the morning.
The invitation's there, I'll send a reminder down to Ron and we can get out to you guys.
Great.
All right, awesome.
Thank you,
Thank you very
Chief.
much, appreciate it. Good seeing everybody again. We'll see you.
See you, Mr. Meter.
Mr. Lanzer, you have a fiscal officer report.
Just gonna report, other than, the bank reconciliation, I hope to have finished. Kind of depends on what training it's gonna look like. I'd like to have that finished and a monthly financial packet ready to go for the next, finance meeting. Ideally, we would have someone kind of in place on some level that trained and guide on how to do that. Either way, it will, this month, or we're a month in arrears. March will be ready to go by the time.
So I should address the interim, I did not do that. So the plan currently is I'm working with Robert Half on a temp to hire, which would be somebody who could fill in until we find a permanent candidate, who may very well turn out to be the permanent candidate. I've talked to a couple of people. I'm supposed to have more candidates to speak with. This would be how we filled the Anna's position when she started with us. Also Carolyn. It's a good trial for people. And usually through Robert Half, you can get people who have CPA background and that kind of thing, which can be helpful. The biggest issue that we have is learning municipal accounting. So, and Andy is gonna be flexible and help us get through those. So I'll keep you abreast as things happen.
Edward,
Very good, thank you, sir. I guess I'd be Chief Campbell. Thank you.
Thank you. I have the mayor's court report for the month of March. Total to the village, $3,866. Total to the state, $1,000.50. Total to other, $64.50, for a monthly total of $4,931. That is the end of the mayor's court report.
Any questions? Do we have a motion to accept the mayor's court report?
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Chief.
Sure. One thing of note, if anybody reviewed it, is it shows our year-to-date. Our year-to-date is almost double where we were last year at this time. So that shows that there's a lot more activity occurring within the police department as we come out of COVID. So I was happy to see that. Also, the mayor touched on the search warrant that we executed last week. We have substances we sent out to the lab. So recovered in this apartment was crack cocaine, fentanyl, marijuana. There was also a loaded firearm that was recovered in there. The three tenants inside that apartment are all prohibited from having weapons. They're all convicted felons. So we'll have more charges coming in the future. And I want to thank the DA task force and members of our PD that helped facilitate that.
This was within the village, right?
Yes. Yes. And that is all I have.
Any questions? Thank you, sir. Mr. Dunlap.
Thank you. We have two pieces of legislation tonight. Resolution number 2022-15. This was a resolution we have tabled twice and reset on this evening's agenda. We do have the signed contract from Jeffrey and Jennifer Kreinis, so would like to move forward to take that off the table by motion and then a motion to read by title only.
so moved on the
First.
first.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And then a motion to read by title only.
So moved.
Second.
Do we do roll on that?
All in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
And this is a resolution authorizing a purchase and sale agreement with Jeffrey Kreinis and Jennifer Kreinis and declaring an emergency. And I need a motion to approve in a second, and I'll go back over the explanation, and then we'll do a roll call vote.
Motion?
Motion.
You approve? Second?
Second.
And this is the contract to purchase the property at 2200 Lusanville Avenue, which is the bakery building at the corner. There's another grant opportunity coming up with Hamilton County that we're gonna make application for funds, as we did for the other Weehee Road property, to fund the purchase and the demolition and any environmental cleanup. We don't suspect any environmental problems with either property. Might be some asbestos and old tiles, roof, but nothing of the sort where we need an environmental cleanup. So our next step after you approve this is to have Mr. Hurth sign it, and then we'll have the environmental company come through and assess both properties, work on our grant, and then hopefully close here within 90 days.
Any questions? Roll.
Ms. Cheney,
Yes.
Mr. Knipp,
Yes.
Ms. Snyder,
Yes.
Mr. Van Horn.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
The second is resolution number 2022-17, and may I have a motion to read this by title only?
Motion to read by title.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And this is a resolution electing use of the standard allowance for revenue loss for funds to be received under the American Rescue Plan Act and authorization to utilize the funds for community programs to benefit COVID recovery and declaring an emergency. I need a motion to approve in a second.
Second.
This is we're in the process of these funds coming down from the federal government to the state of Ohio and into local communities. The purpose of the legislation originally was to fund loss of revenue where you've had to pay for services that you consistently perform or new services as a result of COVID impact. The state of Ohio has not issued their guidance yet. We anticipate it coming down any day that says they want local legislation adopting one of two formulas. The standard allowance, which is an empirical formula based upon your budget, your community size, and so forth. Or the other is to detail line by line what you've spent, what you've lost, what you need. They're making a recommendation, as this legislation says, that we adopt a standard allowance. So with this being approved, if we are then in line with the state of Ohio, Mr. Hurth can make the application for that funding to come down to us to supplement what we've already received in 2021 and anticipate receiving in 2022.
Any questions? Roll call.
Ms. Cheney,
Yes.
Mr. Knipp,
Yes.
Ms. Snyder,
Yes.
Mr. Van Horn.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
And as a note, we may come back to amend this if the state gives us different guidance. But knowing how these have happened, sometimes the state says, and we need it by Friday. We'll be in good shape with what we passed tonight to be able to get in line for that next tranche of funds. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Van Horn, executive, met this evening. Do you have a report?
Yeah, we basically had two things we discussed. One, Mr. Hurth already covered with the visit and explanation from the aggregation program. So he's already explained that. And secondly, we discussed our, I call it HR, but basically our employee review process and everything around that. And we want to basically clear some things up with that. So we've got a work session scheduled for, I believe it's, I don't know what day it is. It's April 28th from 6:30 to 8:30. Is that Thursday? Yeah, it's Thursday. Okay. To kind of work out the details of that and hopefully come to some clarification that we can move forward and then eventually get to council. So
Can you present the date of that again? It's the 28th at
Thursday,
6:30.
April 28th from 6:30 to 8:30 is what it's scheduled.
All right.
And this, I would say, this broadly fits in with our strategic planning effort because it was in our top 5 things that we're trying to move forward. And one is, take care of our employees, making Gulf Manor, the village of Gulf Manor, a good workplace, a preferred place to work. So it fits in well with what we're trying to do. So.
Very good. Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Van Horn? Mr. Betcher is not here this evening. The next scheduled planning commission meeting is Monday, May 2nd at 6:30 PM. Discussion continues on fence, driveways, sidewalks, concrete requirements, along with evaluation of zoning the zoning certificate process.
Can I report
Does-
briefly on
I was
that?
gonna say, does anybody else have anything to input on the planning commission?
So we were scheduled to meet on Monday, April 7th. Due to availability, we moved the agenda of the things on April 7th to May 2nd. So we're still in the middle of the same conversations. At this time, there are no hearings scheduled.
Right. Ms. Cheney, do you have a community engagement committee report?
No, the only thing is the LSDMC meeting is this Wednesday.
Okay.
That's all I have. Do you have anything?
We meet soon, the 19th.
The 19th.
19th at 9:30 a.m.
Right.
That's Tuesday next week.
Right.
Right. Finance committee, does anybody, they don't meet this evening. Their next meeting will be, I don't have that written right here. Their next meeting will be the 25th at 6 p.m. Before our 7 p.m. council meeting. Anybody else with input with anything on finance committee?
I'm sorry, I do have one thing to add with communication. I know last time, I had mentioned that we met with Ms. Bloom, about her reaching out to, residents. I did submit the list that we had compiled. I did let her know that there were some council members who are hoping to, add to it. And so I'm still can still transmit those, but I just wanted to make sure she had a list to start with.
I just last Friday, just FYI concerning this, there's a childcare that we use the Y over in Bond Hill. And I spoke with their director there about whether I could hand out flyers or have flyers there for them to hand out, since they know who the Gulf Manor residents are. I don't need to know who they are, but I can help get the flyers to them saying, we're in a strategic planning process. We're looking for input on that. Would you be willing to be involved in an interview and or a telephone call or survey? And I've already started receiving responses that way, but it's just one day. You know. So,
That's really good.
and thank you for all the work and everyone who's been reaching out and getting people. Awesome. So with that, do we have anything else? If not, I'll say that our next council meeting will be Tuesday, our next meeting will be the Community Engagement Committee, which will be meeting at 9:30 a.m. next Tuesday. Monday, April 25th will be our next full council meeting at 7 p.m. We'll have Finance Committee right before that at 6 p.m. And then after that, May 9th,
Should be the executive committee
whoops, wait,
on the 9th.
on the 9th. Oh, I see. So I hadn't said that yet. But yes, on May 9th, Executive Committee will be at 6 p.m. right before our council meeting at 7 p.m. Any other announcements before we go? It's a historic early time.
I don't think that we should allow Mr. Lanzer to leave so early next time, since it's his last meeting. So perhaps we should gather briefly afterwards in the hall to send him off.
That's great. We may have to get some intel on favorite send-off kind of refreshments, whether that be cake or cookies or what the preference is for.
Or bush.
I did get in this peak physical shape.
Good
I
suggestion.
did think of one thing that I wanted to mention. We had talked, and I had mentioned this to Mr. Van Haren, we had talked a couple of months ago about having the vendor for the license plate readers address the executive committee to talk a little bit more about how that data works. We have that person scheduled for Monday, May 9th, so the other council members may want to come to that to hear that explanation.
When is that?
Sorry, I totally forgot about that.
It's the license plate reader technology that are
You know, the date.
the next meeting.
Next meeting, May 9th.
Oh,
And I would encourage your attendance if you weren't already planning on attending the next council meeting.
it is on.
I've been briefed by the chief on this, and it's pretty interesting stuff. So,
So in full disclosure, we have a couple of readers that are out there, we're testing data at this point, and the chief can show you, I would suggest you make a time, fill in your calendar
Yeah.
to actually go into his office and let him run you through so you have an idea if you have any questions for the vendor on the 9th.
Is that the one with the solar panel?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yes, and
that's-
actually, I forgot to do it, I was jotting notes. I want to speak to them, so there's 3 of them up. I know that the schools are thrilled to have one over by the school in Elbrook. And since we put ours up, I know Amberley is also going to get them. So this network will connect us up through, like Blue Ash has them all over. Mount Healthy,
And
people are
you've
really
been
excited
actually
about it.
able to act on some of the data.
We get, I could show you guys some stuff on my phone or in my office when we're finished. But we'll get a hit while I'm sitting here that a stolen car drove past UDF.
Oh,
So then we can go try to track them down.
I want one of those.
A stolen car.
No, not the stolen car, I want that, so I can watch it.
It just sends a picture, the license plate, and then what the want is. So it'll say stolen car, protection order, missing person, things like that.
Oh, that's cool.
So I'd be happy to show you guys. It would only take a minute.
Does it tell you if it's expired?
No.
If you're wanted for being expired.
This is a little.
So then if you see it on there, you're allowed to go get them?
We confirm it. We run it through our system to make sure it's current. Make sure that the stolen car that's driving down to Sanibel isn't the owner who got their car back.
Oh.
So we go in and we go in and we make sure it's current, and then we try to locate that car.
Hmm. But you can't go outside of Golf Manor, right, to locate it?
Our cameras are pointing in.
Yeah, you have to
So-
stay within here, right?
Well, we don't have to.
Oh, you
but
don't?
It tells us they're coming in.
Okay.
And then the thing we can do is if we have a car that we want for an investigation, we can enter it into the system. And if they pass a car or a camera somewhere else, then we know this person with
Oh.
warrants was in. I mean, there was a stolen car that came through the village yesterday that's had Colorado plates on it. And it told us
Wow.
that it came down with Sanibel.
So dumping at Stover has become an issue again, like a big issue. And the cameras that the county put up are not able to assist us how we need to. There are portable versions of this that you can move around where you need it. And we're looking into the feasibility of putting something like that down there to catch the license plates of whoever's dumping. That's becoming a real problem again.
I love this new system.
Is there any direction that you would give council concerning if folks are going together down to, with chief after the meeting tonight?
Oh,
We
not
need
at
to be
all,
careful
because
about
it's
that.
not
Okay.
it's a show and tell.
Hmm.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
If you can all squeeze into his office, all 4 of you can attend.
This fits, but it doesn't fit. Because I've known this is coming. In the last 2 weeks, I happened to see 2 cars, one in Gulf Manor, one not in Gulf Manor. And they were kind of beat up and they didn't have any plates. And it got me concerned, like, is that usually a sign of something, or not like I can really do anything, but it stood out to me. Like,
Roger's gonna put his blue light on his car and go.
Citizens arrest, citizens arrest.
It is more frequent now since COVID. There's a misunderstanding that people aren't renewing or getting plates. It's being corrected.
Okay.
And this-
Thank you.
Yeah, they give you a warning.
Okay, everyone, is there a motion to adjourn?
Actually.
Is there a second?
Oh. Second,
All those in favor?
Hi.
Thank you for your service, everyone.
to the chief's office. Or to come and watch it right here.
You can see it better.